I get one question more so than any other question, and that's what mods do I use? What's my load order? What are my mod lists? Can you send me a screenshot of it? Some variant of that same question I get repeatedly over and over again. I try to explain to people I don't really have like one set list of mods. It depends on what kind of videos I'm making around that time. Typically if I make a video, I'll leave some of those mods activated for a while. But you could probably guess, especially by the title of this video, there are a set few mods I pretty much use every single time I do a serious playthrough of Fallout 4. Since I found them, they kind of earned a permanent spot in my load order, and I've covered a lot of these already, so this may be a little bit redundant for some of you if you watch my channel a lot. With that being said, I bet some of the things on here may actually surprise you. It's not as average and typical as you might think. Either way, if you guys enjoyed this video, you could leave a like or a comment down below. That helps promote this more with YouTube's internal rating system, so it'll appear in like your recommended box, or preferably the recommended box of others. And even beyond that, if you guys do want to support the channel even to the next level, you can check out the merch store, which is also linked down below. But with that, we'll just jump into number 1. So first up is going to be a landscape mod, as they are dubbed. I actually use a lot of different landscape mods, but really I keep coming back to 3 main ones. Whether this be to recreate the real world and actually kind of simulate what's going on outdoors, because I sometimes like to do that, or even to escape it and have the total opposite in my game. Either way, starting things off, we do have ReGrowth Overhaul. This is a weather mod that I used for a very long stretch of time. If you actually look back at some of my older videos, you will realize for like literally hundreds of videos in a row, I had this in the background. It's an extremely high quality and interesting weather mod. One of the issues it does have though is it does kind of cost a few frames to use. But I think this used in tandem with a good EMB and a hopefully high-end computer, you do actually have one of the prettiest variants of Fallout 4 available right now. One other issue is sometimes things are a little too overgrown and it kind of impedes settlement building. But then the total opposite end of the spectrum, we do have the winter overhaul. This has been the hot topic as of late. I was using this all throughout winter and I was very anticipated for its release. I think this, coupled with a good snow mod or even nuclear weathers, which is what I was using, can really create a pretty picture in Fallout 4 if you're going for a nuclear winter theme. I only just recently, like in the past week or so, switched off of this only because winter is ending, at least where I am. But come next winter, I probably will switch back to it because I like having that winter feel in my game as it is in the real world. But if I can only use one and I had to pick just my flat out favorite weather mod, even though I kind of switched between these 3, the favorite would be Overgrowth. So this is actually one a lot of you guys on PC may have never heard of because it's a Bethesda.net exclusive for whatever reason. Either way, I feel like it's a good mix of adding in enough foliage, but not overdoing it, and I feel like this one, more so than some of the other ones, actually adds in a lot more trees. ReGrowth brings to the table a lot of grass and other miscellaneous things while also having overgrown trees, but Overgrowth I feel like focuses more on those trees and kind of just makes the grass look a little bit greener. The trees make a big difference in gameplay. It's things you could hide behind, it makes it harder to see over long distances, and all around I love that aspect of this. In addition, when using Overgrowth you typically have minimal to non-existent FPS loss. I said it before and I'll say it again, this is probably my favorite environment mod, although again I do switch back and forth between the 3, and if you haven't tried it out before, because it is on Bethesda.net, it's definitely worth a download. I'm going to be short with this one. Next is survival options. I've shown you it before. I think the only real way to play Fallout 4 is on survival mode. It's the most fun way, and I think you'll get the most enjoyment out of that. Survival options allows you to fine-tune the mode to your liking because I think by default it's really not as enjoyable as it could be. I personally like playing on higher damage, but also with autosave. This is going to be the mod that allows you to do that and actually customize your game to really how you want it to be. So we get on to the juicy part, the 2 weapon mods I am featuring. I like to kind of use a DMR and an assault rifle in Fallout 4, especially because the default assault rifle is pretty garbage. It's not the worst weapon in the game, but it's definitely up there as being one of the worst. So every time I start a new playthrough, I typically install at least one AR mod, and the 2 that I've been going between for a while now are the RU-556. This is another one that I was using for literally months upon months with ReGrowth Overhaul. It's an amazingly well done mod. I feel like it's one of the most polished mods right now, and it's also very simple. You kind of just get it, give it to yourself right off the bat, and have it throughout the entire game. You can kind of level it up with you. Some of the recent updates actually brought barrel extensions and things like that, so you could use it as a proper DMR also, which I love. But as of late, I've actually been switching away from that and over to the AKM. I imagine this is going to kind of come as a shock to a lot of you, but there's just something about this mod that I really enjoyed. It brought in that really cool scope that kind of stood out as being unique and distinctive, which kind of first got me to pay attention to it. But after using it for a while, even despite its similarities to the AK-74M, I found myself just wanting to use it time and time again. I find it to be very enjoyable. It's another one that's fairly simple. There's nothing crazy like with the AK-5C or even some stuff with the Watts. And I wouldn't say objectively it's the best mod out there right now in this category, but it's definitely the one I keep going back to and probably my current favorite. So another one that I talk time and time again about how this is essential for the game is see-through combat scopes. This is my favorite mod for Fallout 4 through and through. If I could only use one mod, it would be this one. If you somehow never seen this before, more or less, it'll allow you to actually have like normal looking scopes on your weapons in the game. By default, Fallout 4 has scopes that, cut to a black screen or just all around very ugly and frustrating to use. These function how scopes should. It does have 3 different magnifications a lot of the times, 2, 4, and 8. After installing this, it'll work on all the vanilla weapons. There's also a framework that a lot of mods use, so you can get this on your modded weapons also. I've been using this mod for years at this point, and it'll probably never leave my load order. So this is a simpler one, but another one that I think has just saved me so much time and honestly frustration. QuickTrade basically makes it so when you walk up to a NPC that you can exchange items with, whether that be through actually buying and selling or just kind of clearing out your inventory into theirs, instead of now having to talk to them and get to that option, you could just hit R, which will open up their inventory instantly. So again, there's kind of 2 main uses of this, either with traders when you're bartering or with your different settlers or followers. This should have been in the base game. I think Bethesda may have realized that after the fact. The R mechanic was introduced here to actually access the inventory in your settlement modes, so it's extremely natural and fluid to have that same mechanic for your different settlers or the different traders. I don't know how much time it saved me, but I can only imagine how many seconds were kind of cut down after not having to talk to each of those traders every time. All around, another essential one for me, and if you haven't used it, I would definitely download it. It's super lightweight and intuitive. So last but not least, we have the one that maybe is the biggest surprise, and that's going to be some assembly required. You might be noticing a theme here, but this is another one that I think should have been in Fallout 4 by default. What some assembly required does is make it so power armor is much scarcer, much harder to repair, but also much more powerful. So now all the times you would find power armor in Fallout 4, instead of finding a full set, you may find one piece that is damaged. Repairing it costs way more scrap and different resources. In order to repair and upgrade power armor to certain levels, you require certain perks now. But on the flip side, when you actually get a fully functioning suit of power armor, you're pretty close to being a tank. Like, you actually are quite strong and can take a lot of shots from enemies. Power armor receives significant buffs, especially if you use some of the higher level ones like X01 or even T60. There's also some miscellaneous changes, like the only way to get T60 is to join the Brotherhood of Steel, which I really like. And I feel like with the changes made to power armor in Fallout 4, making it more like a vehicle this time around, it makes sense for this to be something that's a little bit more formidable. Whether you have power armor yourself or you're going up against a power armor enemy, it's going to be a challenge to take them down or a challenge to take you down. I really like this, and I feel like it's something that again should have been in default Fallout 4. This coupled with my 3x damage playstyle makes it so when you're in power armor you don't get one shot all the time, which, it makes it rewarding to actually wear that armor and have the bulkiness associated with it. So that's pretty much going to wrap it up for this video. As always, again, thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed. But now for the psych fun fact of the day. So this one's not so much a fact, but almost a misconception. I don't know if it's really, but there's a thing called antisocial personality disorder. You probably think, oh, that's like somebody that has social anxiety or maybe can't interact with others. That's not further from the truth. That might be a byproduct of this, but people with antisocial personality disorder are like normally quite bad people. Those who like to break laws, to lie, they have a lack of regard for their own safety and even the safety of those around them, like their family. And one thing that actually characterizes this is killing animals or torturing animals, and then sometimes that even generalizes into humans. Antisocial means what you think, not wanting to socialize, but antisocial personality disorder is something a little bit more messed up. I learned this in my class a couple years ago, and I just thought it was really interesting because I was like, wait, that's not at all what I thought it was going to be. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. If you guys enjoyed this video, you can check out my video, 8 lesser known mods. I've been linking one, but I actually made a second episode of that a while ago, or I guess the first episode. It got less views, but it still showed you 8 mods that I thought were really interesting and didn't have a lot of downloads, so I'll have a link to that at the end. Well, it's on screen right now. But yeah, as always, again, thank you for watching, and I hope to see you guys all next time. Later.